Namaskar, Namaskar from India. Namaskar to all my dear friends, family, guests who all are there with us on Speak Up and Empower and Speak Up and Empower India. This is Himangi Arora Mishra, your host for the day. It is the first session of 2021. We are here in the afternoon of Sunday. I'm sure we all have enjoyed our brunch by now. And we have a very special guest on our platform who's an expert from Speak Up and Empower. She herself is a beautiful survivor. She is one of the extremely beautiful panelists from Speak Up and Empower, and now she is right in front of us. I have a very beautiful friend of mine, my co host, my dear Dhwani Jain, with us today, and we are again in front of you with the real talks lead by gratitude. So I'm sure you all have your bits and stories and all your experiences from 2020, and all those who are hearing and we are all able to talk today, we are all grateful to God that yes, we made it through 2020 and here we are in 2021 going to lead definitely by gratitude. So namaskar aap sabhi ko. And here we go. We would definitely love to know from Natalie what was her experience of 2020 and her life so that we can have all the inspiration in the world from her, because her journey itself a lot to talk about. Welcome, Natalie. How are
Thank,
you?
thank you so much, Amanda, and thank you, Dhwani. Thank you, such beautiful ladies. First thing here on a Sunday morning in the UK. It's just delightful to see you, and thank you for having me to come and speak to you. The pleasure is all mine. I assure you of that. Um, I loved your introduction because 2020. Wow, what an interesting year for everybody. And I think that the challenges were absolutely enormous. I mean, some insurmountable for a lot of people. But for me, you ask me about my experience from 2020. I haven't, I got more positive than I did negative out of the year. And I'm truly blessed for all the opportunities that were opened up for me. And I feel so grateful for the opportunities that were presented to me during the year, because during the lockdown, we all had to start thinking differently. We had to start looking at new ways of how to communicate, of how to work, of how to stay content. And one of the things that's really changed my life or added so much inspiration and value to my life is Speak Up and Empower. And that is on digital platform. So I think I'd be joined by a lot of people around the world in saying that I had to learn very quickly about online community and technology, not only for my social life, but obviously for work as well. First and foremost, I needed to, get a hold of that. So I'm so grateful for what I learned about technology. But to get back to Speak Up and Empower, I think if we weren't in lockdown, we wouldn't be communicating the way we do globally. I mean, ladies, you're all the way over in India and I'm over here in the UK. And to think that I've forged and have started to form so many friendships, beautiful friendships, with more people that I could have hoped to have done across the world is, I have to pinch myself sometimes. And I think that and I know that wouldn't have happened if we weren't plunged into a situation where we needed to start connecting truly in a different way. And yeah, I was saying to someone the other day that 2020 has actually been one of the most beautiful years of my life. Yes, there have been challenges, and my heart goes out so much to people that have lost dear ones. But to be able to pull positive out of it, I think is a blessing. I really do, and I really believe that even though the start to 2021 has been challenging here in the UK and around the world, we're not past the worst of this pandemic. I think that 2021 is going to be 2020 win, because, yeah, I mean, technology and science and sheer brilliance of people have come together, and there is hope for the vaccine, which is, as we were saying just earlier, being rolled out across the world. So it has to come to an end, and I think that we're going to see the light globally this year, and certainly here in the UK.
Absolutely, Natalie. You rightly said, hopefully 2021 will be 2020 win. And
Yeah.
yes, we did see darkness last year, but like you said, we learned to change ourselves, to adapt ourselves, and that was the key. It has been one of the most challenging years, but yes, we learned so many ways, and that is why we are together today and interacting with each other with so much, we could have never imagined pre-COVID times that we would be doing something like this. So adaptability is definitely the key. So I would like to know more about how, like, pre-COVID, I'm sure there have been challenges all through your life. So what do you think has been the role of adaptation and accommodation in your life?
Yeah, so, the reason I always ask, I ask myself, how did I end up in this seat talking to you? It's a simple question, and some 5 years ago, I would never have dreamed of having a conversation like this in a state of gratitude and grace, because I've come through a journey of, I was caught in addiction, alcoholism, and I had some real mental health challenges for a very long time. And in fact, for, a couple of decades or more in my life, I battled the demons that kept me cut off from the spirit of the universe, which is what I'm learning now. And as I was growing up in my life, for one reason and the other, which I'm not alone in this world, having experienced things as a young girl growing up, but I didn't have the tools to deal with life on its terms. And so I was quite emotionally immature growing up through life, and I wasn't able to deal with major challenges, let's say, that were presented to me. And whilst my life was relatively successful, I for a long time used false mechanisms to deal with problems that came my way, in alcohol, in drugs, in self-destructive behavior, eating disorders, and generally just behaved quite badly through my life, because I didn't have a solid foundation of a spiritual connection. And so when we talk about adapting, throughout my life, I had to adapt to difficult situations. And so how I did that, I just became whatever I needed to become to adapt to that, which was very superficial. And it worked. It worked for a long time because I was quite good at that. But I never really had a true sense of who, you know, of who I was. And one of the questions that were asked of me when I was, because I had to go off to South Africa to a rehabilitation center, and one of the questions that was asked to me is, "Who are you?" You know, and you know what? It was a question that really stumped me because I was like, I haven't got a clue. And so began the journey of starting to learn who I am, so that I can adapt and deal with people, places, and things, life, for what they are and in my truth. And it's been a process, it's been a journey, because I nearly lost my life to the illnesses. And so physically there was a lot of work for me to do to come, to come back to like an equal, a level playing field with the rest of society. But mentally and spiritually, I had a lot of growth, a lot of catching up to do. But the journey has just been absolutely amazing. And so adapting now is more for me accepting, living. And one of the first things, and which is why I love your work and the name of this show, Lead by Gratitude, because gratitude changes everything. And that's one of the first things that was taught to me by my, the beautiful professionals and sponsors and, a mentor, that, gratitude is what binds recovery together and sets forth a life of contentment and abundance. And so true, that is just so true. I started to learn spiritual principles that gave me the tools to start living life on life's terms and just learning to love who I am and living in the present. So yes, it's been a journey, but it's been beautiful.
Beautiful, Nataile. I think this is what we all must learn from you, that, whenever destructions or devastations come, we need to overcome ourselves by being acceptable towards the sense society as well as our own selves. We need to be empathetic towards others, but before that, we need to be empathetic towards our own, journey as well, which is very, very true. I just want to understand what made you, what moment, is there any incidents in your life that happened in 2003 or 16 when you identified that, I am going through something? What was that igniting or enlightening moment for you when you realized that, oh, this addiction and, anxieties won't help me. I have to overcome them. What was that moment?
Well, that's an interesting excuse me, question, because there were many times that it was absolutely clear that I was in trouble and affecting the lives of those around me. It was absolutely evident. I covered it up for a long time and functioned for a long time, relatively successfully, and a lot of people who do live with addiction and function, but there's only so long that you can kind of keep the cards, stacked up. And it was around about 2014. Now, you see, I'd suffered with an eating disorder from a young age, and then it sort of came and went throughout my life. But a few events, sort of occurred in 2014. I think it was a combination of a very stressful job, moving house, and a lifetime of not talking about my problems. When I should have taken responsibility to start talking about my problems when I got to the age where I could take responsibility for the way I felt, but I didn't. And I just self-medicated all through my life. So it was in about 2014 that my eating disorder came back with a vengeance. It really did. And the drinking just escalated to insane proportions. And I started to, like, physically, you know, I was in and out of hospitals, having, you know, life-threatening seizures and all of that. So we were getting to the point where physically my body couldn't carry on anymore, and mentally I was nowhere to be found. And so my family, bless them, in South Africa, they galvanized putting funds together for me, obviously with my husband supporting as well, and put me on a plane to go out to South Africa, to a rehabilitation center, because the services over here, they just, because I was so unwilling to help myself, I think as part of it, we were just getting nowhere with this, and I wasn't going to live in, you know, to see a few more months. So anyway, so I went over to South Africa, and during that time, because I was kind of, you know, locked away from society, so to speak, given intensive care and therapy, and got myself to a place of health, and started to live consciously, started to look in the mirror, and you know, start the journey of recovery. And I was in rehab for 3 months. Thought that I'd done so well, and which I'd done okay. And I left the facility, and within a few days, I was back drinking, and it was, I mean, it was, you see, that was the gratitude that I had shown, and I say this sarcastically and ironically, to my family, who'd done all they had to get me out there, and that's how I thanked them. Anyway, on that same day that I decided that I'd had the relapse, they put me back into that same treatment center, and something changed. You ask about that moment. Something changed then, and I'll never forget the day. So that was in November of 2016. I went into rehab in July 2016. In November, I was put back in, and I'll never forget the day. It was the 6th of November. It was about 3:30 in the afternoon. I was up to my old tricks and trying to manipulate and you know, get the counselors to let me use their phone, which you're not allowed to do, and you know, all of that. And he kind of held up a metaphorical mirror in front of me that had been done so many times, but I refused to see what was in front of me. But he did this, and every part of me just broke down, but in a beautiful way, because it was like a letting go. It was a spiritual moment that I will never, ever forget, because all of a sudden I could see what I was doing, and I'd had enough of it. Now, it wasn't, that moment wasn't a conscious, like, okay, I'm going to change now because, oh, oopsie, I've done this again, and I've, hurt somebody again. It was truly a moment of spiritual awakening. And I truly believe that at that moment, it was God's grace that saved me from myself and set me on the path of being teachable. Because, I always thought I knew better. And so, yeah, thus I started to gain a bit of humility and realize that I don't know everything. In fact, I know nothing. and started to just listen, learn, take one step at a time, and be grateful for everything that I have. And to this day, every day, I thank, I have my list that I do every day still for everything that I'm grateful for. So that moment, Dhwani, it was palpable. It was because the tears were just rolling down my face, and everything changed. Everything in that moment changed, and it was just so beautiful. I can remember it like it was yesterday. So I don't. But yeah, that was the moment. There had been so many opportunities before that for me to say, okay, I'm done. All right. And I truly believed that, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't want to do this again. And I really believed it every time. But I'd really got to the rock bottom of sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I just, I was blessed with a way out and got out of my own way. And so it was just so lovely. So that was a really pivotal point in my life, and I'm so grateful for it.
So, Nataile, this is a journey of a fighter, of a warrior, of a winner, I should say, because you are definitely a winner. Somebody, getting over the addiction with such a beautiful journey, because the more you've been barged and bagged, and the more you've been thrashed by your own sense of pulling down and hating yourself, and then you
that was it.
overcome with that sense of acknowledgement of whatever you've gone through, and then of course letting yourself to have a vision that this is not what I am and this is not what I'm going to be, is in itself a very beautiful and amazing journey that you've led. And I'm sure lot many students, women out there who are troubling and into so much of suffering, they would definitely be able to resonate to them, and of course with that I think they have got the gift of hope from you, that yes, if something of this can happen to you, things can definitely work for them, only if they genuinely identify. So with that, I just want to put another question, and there I'll ask Dhwani to take over from. Nataile, what are you doing now with whatever experiences you have, and are you able to mark an impact consciously on the people and the survivors, or is there any plan to do so?
Yeah. So at the moment, being blessed with being able to live consciously in the real world, I'm very grateful to have a job in an industry that I've been in for a long time, with some wonderful people, absolutely wonderful people. So my day job keeps me really busy. And my primary responsibility is to support my family. And so I'm able to do that. Without, just because I can and actually enjoy doing it. And so, and not letting it most of the time overwhelm me too much, because that's something that I always used to do, was allow my work to just completely consume and overwhelm me. Now, I do find myself getting very absorbed into my work because that's what it does need, but I have learned boundaries. So what am I doing? I am contributing to the home and earning an honest living, put it that way. Now, that's my vocation. That's my, that's my job. But my real passion, what really inspires me is, like you, I have a real talk as well. where I speak to people who have to come out of the darkness and into the light, and
And I
listen.
know that it has a beautiful name that you have, marked as a concept, but I would definitely like you to talk about it.
Yeah, steps to serenity, because that's, yeah, for me, that's serenity is such a beautiful space to live in, and so the steps we took to start to live in serenity. So outside of my work, I do that, and I think the people that come on to the platform are able to share hope where people were hopeless, because I know I was literally hopeless, and now living with hope. So I engage with a lot of people to come in and do that and put the word out there. Times have changed a bit in the support groups that we used to in our recovery community, we'd have meetings, fellowship meetings. Stuff is online now, which is absolutely brilliant, but the way that we go about supporting each other has changed changed a lot in light of not being able to have physical contact. So I work with people who are just coming into recovery, and help them by way of sponsorship, because I've been there. I know what it feels like, and when someone is ready to take the next step to understanding how to get out of that darkness, it's a privilege. It's a beautiful privilege to help someone to start taking those steps forward, because they hopefully are ready to make that change. So I do that. And then I'm involved with a charity, just a very sort of small charity, which is local to here, that is very peer-led in its groups. Again, it's mostly online now. But it's a beautiful platform for people to come and share their experiences, share their stories safely, and that are facilitated. There's some really beautiful people that facilitate the group, Aaron and Martin. So I have an association with that, and they're actually part of Speak Up and Empower now too. They've joined Steps to Serenity as a non-profit. So in this year, we're going to get a lot more exposure for them. But what am I doing for other people? I feel my purpose in life is to help others realize that, number one, it's never too late to come out of the darkness. Because I was 43 when I finally reached out for help. But it didn't have to get to that stage in life. It didn't have to get there. And just to encourage people to make that phone call, to understand that they are not alone. And just to learn to, just reach out and start the connection with just a conversation. And so, any means that I can do that to get, to just encourage anybody that's struggling with mental health, with addiction, with alcoholism. You don't have to resign to a life of that, because believe me, if I can come from the gates of hell, anybody can do it. And that's, that's the message that I want to get across. It is possible, and we do recover.
Absolutely. That's so true. I mean, it takes so much courage to talk about these phases of your life, and you have so beautifully got out of that phase. And most of us, I mean, Sometimes even with a small speed breaker or a small problem, we just think that, oh, we cannot overcome that. But listening to you, I mean, you rightly said, it is never too late, and you can always get back to the life you actually want to lead, right? So, Natal, I would like to understand rather, what do you think when you realize, supposingly I realize, oh, I'm going wrong somewhere, what do you think should be the first step? Is it talking out with people who are in the same situation, or should we reach out to mentors? What is that first step that a person who is going down should take so that they can, just get back to the normal life? What would be the first step as well?
Yeah, it's such a good question because when when you're in a place where you feel like everything is just caving in and feel hopeless, you feel, well, I know I did, you feel worthless and not, not worthy of someone's time. They're not going to care. They're not going to understand. I'm on my own. No one else is suffering from the same thing as I am. No one's going to understand. I know how that feels. And what's so difficult, what can be really difficult is when a person gets to that stage, they isolate themselves. So actually, reaching them and understanding them in that place can be difficult. But I would say, to find, now, we've all got a pet, a family member, a friend, or an associate, someone at work, that you feel that maybe you do just, there's a level of trust and a level of non-judgment in people. And to just start the conversation about how you feel. It's that first, even if it's just, oh my God, I'm struggling. I just don't know what to do. I feel absolutely, however I feel hopeless, whatever it is, is to speak out, start to speak, because I know all through my life I was too proud and too scared to admit how I was feeling, to admit that I was stuck, to admit that I needed help, because I could do it all myself. And I found great ways to do it with all the self-destructive behaviors. But if you can find somebody that you can trust, that person may not have the answer. That person may not have the answer, but that person might be able to guide them to a place that does have the answer. For example, like online support groups or community support groups, or somebody that has been through the same thing. I have that experience, like a friend of a friend will say, oh, this poor guy's struggling with cocaine addiction or alcoholism. Would you be able to just have a word with them, Natalie? And and it's that connecting up, because as I say, that person, that colleague or friend, family member might not have the answer, but somebody they know might have the answer. And people do care more than we realize, especially if people have been through the same, or similar experience. But but it is difficult, Dhwani. It's difficult if you get to that stage where you just feel, hopeless. But
Absolutely.
and
The
also,
first step is generally the most difficult one to take. Once you have the courage to take the first step, the next steps become easier and easier. So yes, like Natalie said, if you are suffering from any problem, do talk about it. And more than that, I think people who are listening also need to be non-judgmental, like you said, because if we pass comments, if we pass judgments, the other person would stop sharing the information, right? So, Himangi, if you would like to add something on that.
Yeah.
I would just like to add that it was amazing to hear from Natalie, and the journey, the insights, the learnings that you've shared today are definitely the eye openers for millions of people. I'm sure, because I was just listening today. I was not, feeling like saying or putting any kind of question, because I can, see in your eyes that you have genuinely, you have crossed that life where obviously, as you said, that it's never late. Yeah, do I do agree to this, but moving ahead in life and coming to that very level of uncertainty at 43, somebody realizing that there is life and I have to live is a huge thing, you know. Because by that time maximum people think, okay, now we are old, we have to go like this itself. But you took a deep breath and you actually thought of, bringing life to yourself and to others. This is so amazing, Natalie. And with that, I am definitely, mark it to the people who are listening to us that I am really glad that we all are the part of Speak Up and Empower, because, being the part of such a heart centric community, being one of those who can be called for support, who can seek support. Today, I can seek support from Dhwani. Dhwani is here with all of us. I am there, open to all kind of things. And, Natalie, today meeting you, greeting you here from UK, as I always say, that why do this particular term called experts is there and so relevant on Speak Up and Empire? And that is because experts are not the ones who got their expertise from doctorates or degrees or different resources. They are experts because they have lived their lives, they have experience, and that is why we call them experts. And today you resonated the idea live in front of everyone, I'm sure. So it's such an amazing feel to have a guest like you today, and to actually, almost lived the experiences that you have shared. And I can definitely say this to all those youngsters who are feeling drawn and, feeling so much in darkness that, oh God, what is to be done? It's just that you need to identify the fact that life is very important, and whenever you identify that very moment, you can overcome things. It's all in the heart and the mind connect. And this is something which definitely you have explained so beautifully, Natalie. I am so thankful to you that you accepted our invitation from Speak in
Thank you.
India, and I'm so blessed to have you today here on this Sunday afternoon. Thank you
Oh,
so very much.
thank you, ladies. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
So, Dhwani, we are heading towards the closure. I would like you to mark your closure today, because Dhwani has come up with so resonating and full of solutions, I must say, with her magazine that she launched. And I am so feeling proud to be her friend and the part of Speak Up and Empower. So, Dhwani, I would just like you to put the closure with, of course, letting people know what this magazine is about.
Thank you so much, Himangi, and thank you so much, Natalie, for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you.
I cannot express it in words because, Himangi has just summed it up so well. But yes, let's talk about the problems we have. Let's be non judgmental, because most of the times we close the doors the moment we start passing judgments on others. So, Speak Up and Empower is a platform where people from across the globe have come together. We are heart centric people. And if any one of our viewers, if any one of you listening to us is facing any kind of problem, I, on behalf of Speak Up and Empower community, welcome all of you to share your problems with us. Maybe we can help you. If not, we will connect you to the right people. And I'm sure together we will be able to make a more happy society. We would be able to work together in a more positive way and create a more positive energy. So on that note, thank you so much, Nataile. Thank you so much, Himangi. Thank you to all the viewers. We shall come back again next week, same time, with another lovely guest. I hope you enjoyed the show today. And thanks a lot.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you so very much. So, as we are heading towards the closure, we'll be meeting in the evening with another show of Real Talks, of course, because that is the world of stories with another cute and beautiful guest, rather a storyteller who's just 13 years old, with one of the TEDx speakers, Miss Shivali Chopra. But before I leave, I would just request you to join the community of Speak Up and Empower, because we are looking forward to the memberships. We have the grassroots memberships that are free. We have a youth membership which is free for the students, for the youngsters to join and have the sense of paying back to the society. So I am looking forward to all my dear friends to join Speak Up and Empower India. And Natalie, we are going to seek lots and lots and lots of support from you, and we will keep on bothering you on the platform of Speak Up and Empower India for
Good.
sure.
Lovely. Love you,
So,
ladies. It's absolutely beautiful. And thank you.
so
Your
on the
work is
behalf
absolutely
of
beautiful.
Natalie, on the behalf of Dhwani, and of course me, we will be saying namaskar, and we will be meeting soon on next Sunday, same time, that's 12 noon IST, and we will be bringing another story of a leader who's leading by gratitude. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar.